Ladies and gentlemen, you see, life is not something that happens to us. It is something we continuously create with the way we perceive it. When I say positivity, do not mistake it for shallow happiness or blind optimism. It is not about putting on rose-colored glasses and ignoring the darkness around us. True positivity arises from a deep understanding, a clarity about what is, exactly as it is. When your mind is turbulent, filled with doubt, fear or resentment, your experience becomes a storm. But when you cultivate positivity, you are not pretending the storm isn't there. Instead, you become the calm center within that storm. This calmness does not come by denying pain or hardship, it comes by acknowledging them fully and then consciously choosing not to be imprisoned by them? You see, positivity is the power to take what life offers, good or bad, and to turn it into an opportunity to grow, to expand your consciousness, to deepen your compassion. It is the alchemy of the mind. When you are positively grounded, challenges do not break you, they make you more resilient, more aware, more alive. This power is not something outside of you, it is your inherent nature waiting to be realized. When you nurture your inner being with positivity, you create a world around you that resonates with peace and possibility. Where you hold responsibility for your own happiness, not as a reaction to external events, but as a natural flow of your inner harmony. So, I invite you to understand positivity not as an escape, but as a profound embrace of life's totality. When you live with this power, you become a force that can transform not only yourself but everything you touch. To perceive life with clarity means to look at things exactly as they are, without adding layers of judgment or emotional distortion. When you see the world through the fog of anger, grief or anxiety, your vision is blurred, your responses become reactive and confused. But when you clear the mind of these distortions, the truth of any situation shines through and you can respond to it with wisdom rather than impulse. Acceptance is not the same as resignation or giving up. It is a willingness to face reality fully, without trying to escape or change what is outside your control. This acceptance creates a space within you where calmness and understanding arise. When you no longer resist the facts of your experience, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering and can begin to find creative solutions of peace within the moment. When life brings hardship or pain, the natural tendency of the mind is to reject or resist it. Yet resistance only tightens the grip of suffering and blinds you to the lessons embedded in those difficult moments. Positivity, rooted in clarity and acceptance, invites you to lean into discomfort and explore what it reveals about yourself, the world and the impermanent nature of all things. This way of being does not deny the existence of problems or pretend that everything is perfect. Instead, it acknowledges that life is a complex dance of joy and sorrow, success and failure, growth and decay. Positivity in this sense is the ability to navigate this dance with grace, staying balanced and present no matter what the music plays. The clarity that comes with acceptance opens the mind to possibilities that were hidden behind clouds of resistance. It allows the intelligence within you to rise above the noise of emotional turmoil and see a path forward even in the darkest times. Positivity is the light that reveals options, hope and resilience in moments when despair might otherwise dominate. When you live with this clarity and acceptance, your inner world becomes stable and strong. You are no longer tossed by every external event or internal reaction. Instead, you become the unshakable witness to life's fluctuations, able to maintain a steady center regardless of circumstance. In this way, positivity is not an escape from reality, but a profound engagement with it. It is the ability to hold all that life offers without collapse, without denial, and without illusion, creating a foundation for true peace and transformation. The mind is the silent artist within us, constantly molding and shaping how we perceive the world around us. Every thought, every feeling acts like a stroke of the chisel on the raw stone of experience, carving out the reality we live in. It is not the external events alone that define our experience, but the way the mind interprets and responds to them that creates the world we inhabit every day. Positivity, then, is the conscious choice to shape this inner landscape with clarity, kindness and acceptance rather than with fear, anger or negativity. These patterns influence not only what we feel internally, but also how we act and interact with others, revealing themselves as the outward expression of our inner state. This shaping process is subtle and continuous, like a sculptor who chips away patiently over time. The mind's habitual tendencies carve grooves into our consciousness that become deeply ingrained. If negativity dominates, the landscape becomes rugged, fractured and chaotic. But when positivity guides the mind, The inner terrain smoothens, becoming fertile ground for peace, creativity and joy to flourish. It is important to recognize that the mind does not operate in isolation. The way we see ourselves and the world affects the energy we put out into every situation. Positivity nurtures compassion, understanding and openness within, which naturally extends to the people and circumstances we encounter. Thus, the inner landscape shaped by the mind's positivity radiates outward, influencing our relationships and environment. When negativity shapes the mind, it erects walls, creating divisions and conflicts both internally and externally. These walls restrict the flow of life energy and distort our perception of reality. But positivity dissolves these barriers, encouraging connection and harmony. The mind becomes like a clear lake reflecting the sky, and what we project becomes a reflection of this clarity rather than confusion or turmoil. The power of the mind as a sculptor is immense, but it requires awareness and intentional effort. Without conscious attention, the mind defaults to old patterns, often steeped in fear or conditioning. Positivity invites us to take responsibility for this creative process, to guide the sculpting with deliberate hands, so that the experience of life becomes a masterpiece rather than a series of random strokes. Our inner world and outer reality are not separate but intimately linked, like two sides of the same coin. When the mind forms positivity within, it sends ripples outward that influence not just personal experience but the collective atmosphere around us. The energy we carry changes how others respond and how situations unfold, creating a dynamic interplay between inner clarity and external harmony. In this way, the sculpting of our experience through the mind is an ongoing act of creation, where positivity is both the tool and the form it shapes. The inner landscape fashioned by this process becomes a living reflection, expressing itself in every gesture, word and interaction, reminding us that the true power to shape our world lies always within. True positivity is often misunderstood because many mistake it for constant cheerfulness or a forced smile that masks deeper feelings. But real positivity is far more profound than this surface-level brightness. It is a quiet strength that arises from within, a calm and steady presence that remains intact regardless of the outer circumstances or inner turmoil. This strength is not loud or flashy, but it carries the weight of wisdom and resilience. Unlike superficial cheerfulness, which can crumble at the slightest disturbance, true positivity stands firm, even in the face of adversity. It does not depend on external conditions to thrive or falter. When everything around is chaotic, this inner strength holds space for whatever is happening without denying or running away from it. It is not about pretending that pain does not exist, but about meeting it with an open heart and an unshaken mind. Denial of suffering might appear as positivity to the untrained eye, but it is actually a fragile illusion. When suffering is ignored or suppressed, it does not disappear. Instead, it festers beneath the surface and eventually breaks out in unexpected ways. True positivity acknowledges suffering fully, allowing it to be present without letting it consume the whole of one's being. This acceptance creates a foundation for healing and transformation. This silent strength is like the roots of a tree, deep underground and unseen, yet holding the entire structure steady against storms and winds. It is a power that is not shouted from rooftops but felt deeply in the core of one's being. It nourishes patience, compassion and clarity, qualities that do not arise from denial but from embracing life in its entirety, the joy and the pain and the loss. In cultivating this kind of positivity, one learns that strength is not about resistance or control, but about surrender and understanding. When you stop struggling against the realities of life and instead allow yourself to flow with them, you become resilient in ways that superficial happiness could never make you. This strength is born from the ability to remain present, steady and aware, even when life feels uncertain or painful. The silence of true positivity is not emptiness, but a full and rich presence that listens deeply to oneself, to others and to the moment unfolding. It is a grounded awareness that sees things clearly and responds from a place of equanimity. This is why true positivity often feels invisible to others. It is not meant to impress or entertain but to support and endure. Because this strength is quiet, it requires mindfulness to recognize and cultivate it. It does not come from external achievements or validation, but from an inward journey of self-awareness and acceptance. It is a power that grows slowly, patiently and steadily as one learns to face life without fear or denial, learning from every experience rather than escaping it. This kind of positivity reshapes how we live and relate to the world, making us anchors for others in times of trouble. It is the invisible force that steadies the mind and soothes the heart. showing that true strength is not loud or aggressive, but a deep, silent power that embraces all of life's truths without losing itself. The power of positivity is not about escaping pain or pretending hardships do not exist. Rather, it is about embracing those difficult experiences with an open heart and a steady mind. When life presents challenges, the natural reaction is often to resist or shrink away, but positivity invites us to lean into these moments and see them as fertile ground for growth. It is in the very struggle itself that transformation begins, if only we are willing to look closely. Pain, by its nature, forces us to pause and pay attention. When we face it with positivity, we stop running from discomfort and start learning from it. This shift changes the entire experience. Pain becomes a teacher rather than an enemy. The energy of suffering is redirected, no longer wasted in resistance or despair, but used as a catalyst for deeper understanding and inner development. Hardship often feels like a barrier that blocks the path forward, but positivity reveals it as a doorway instead. Behind every difficulty lies a lesson or a chance to develop qualities like patience, courage, and resilience. When the mind is open and positive, it can perceive the hidden potential in adversity and sees it as an opportunity to expand beyond previous limitations. Challenges test the strength of our spirit and the flexibility of our mind. Positivity does not guarantee the absence of struggle, but it changes how we experience it. Instead of being crushed or defeated by obstacles, a positive approach helps us navigate them with grace and determination. Each challenge becomes a step on a journey toward becoming more whole, more aware and more capable. This power to transform is not instantaneous or easy. It requires practice and persistence. Positivity calls for a conscious choice to see beyond the immediate pain and discomfort, to envision a future shaped by growth rather than by suffering. It is an active engagement with life that refuses to be defined by difficulty, choosing instead to be shaped by the lessons that hardship brings. In this process, growth is not just about overcoming external problems, but also about inner evolution. Pain and challenges shake the foundation of our beliefs and perceptions, forcing us to question who we are and what truly matters. Positivity supports this inner inquiry, helping us to shed old patterns and emerge with greater clarity and wisdom. As we learn to harness this power, we find that pain no longer dominates our lives but becomes a part of the tapestry of experience that enriches us. Hardship loses its sting and becomes a source of strength. Challenges become invitations to step into our fullest potential, expanding our capacity for empathy, creativity, and resilience. Through positivity, life's inevitable difficulties are transformed into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. This transformation is a continuous unfolding, a dance between struggle and growth, where each moment of hardship carries within it the seeds of new possibility, inviting us to become more alive, more present, and more deeply connected to the flow of life itself. Positivity is often thought of as a reaction to external events, something that happens when things go well or when we feel good about life. But true positivity is much deeper than that. It is a state of being that arises from within, independent of circumstances. It is a conscious choice to live fully, to embrace the present moment with awareness and openness, rather than waiting for conditions to be perfect before feeling positive. To be positive as a state of being means to take responsibility for your inner well-being, rather than depending on the outside world to bring happiness or peace. When you recognize that your sense of fulfillment is created inside, step into a powerful role as the architect of your own experience. This choice is an act of courage because it demands honesty and presence with whatever is happening inside you, whether comfortable or uncomfortable. Being fully alive in this sense means not shrinking away from the full spectrum of life's emotions but welcoming them as part of your human experience. Positivity is not about chasing pleasure or avoiding pain. It is about being awake to everything that life offers and holding it all with equanimity. This vibrant aliveness is the foundation for true joy, which arises naturally when you are connected to your inner source of well-being. Taking responsibility for your inner state also means that you cultivate habits and practices that nourish your mind and heart. Positivity grows through awareness, self-care and intentionality. It is maintained by the choices you make each day to feed your consciousness with clarity, compassion and acceptance, rather than feeding it with worry, blame or judgment. This daily attention shapes your state of being over time. This inner responsibility transforms how you relate to the world. When you are positive from within, you do not react impulsively to every challenge or disturbance. Instead, you respond with presence and balance, anchored in a deeper sense of self. This steadiness allows you to navigate life's uncertainties without losing your center or your ability to see clearly. Positivity as a state of being also invites you to see beyond the surface and connect with the deeper essence of life. It is a choice to be aligned with the flow of existence rather than resisting it. This alignment opens up new possibilities and creative potentials, allowing you to participate fully in life's unfolding rather than being caught in fear or doubt. As you embody positivity in this way, you become a source of light not only for yourself but for others around you. Your inner well-being radiates outward, influencing your relationships and environment in subtle but powerful ways. This ripple effect reminds you that positivity is not just personal, but also a contribution to the collective consciousness. Living with this awareness, positivity is no longer something you achieve or lose, it becomes a natural state of your being. It is the ongoing choice to remain fully alive and responsible, continually cultivating the inner space where peace, joy and resilience arise spontaneously in every moment.